Welcome to another Ashman Kings of War Battle Report. The Epic Quest 16. Northern Alliance versus the Order of the Green Lady. 2,300 points, and the scenario was Dominate. Okay, so I don't really have a proper, quote, Order of the Green Lady army, but I do have a lot of men figures and a lot of elementals, so that makes it easy to play this army. Starts off with 2 hordes of men-at-arms retainers with a vial, 2 regiments of the Order of the Brotherhood with the vial. One of them had the banner of the Green Lady, and the other one had the potion of the Caterpillar. A horde of water elementals, 2 hordes of earth elementals, a greater earth elemental, a Pegasus, an exemplar Redeemer, an exemplar Adjutant with the loot, a Druid with the Tome of Darkness and Surge 4, a Unicorn with Heal 5 and the Shroud of the Saints. When I started doing deployment, I was thinking about loading up here on the left flank, but then Carl started dropping some really nasty units over there, so then I kind of changed plans, but I'd already put some stuff down. So over here I dropped the Pegasus because he had a bolt thrower over there. One of the units of Order of the Brotherhood Knights, and the other unit of Order of the Brotherhood Knights. Like I said, I really didn't want them to be where they were at, but I was already too far into it, and if I stuck one down, I might as well support them so that they could do something. Since we were playing Dominate, I actually put the strongest units in the middle of the line. I put a horde of water elementals, and then 2 hordes of earth elementals adjacent to each other. In the middle of them, I put a greater earth elemental. Behind those for support, I had stuck the Druid who had Surge, and then the Unicorn, which was set up to heal all those elements. Okay, he had kind of deployed lightly, I guess, on his left flank. So I stuck both units of men-at-arms retainers. I really didn't expect them to do much, but they're a high unit strength unit, and I gave them the Adjutant with the loot to support them. So I was feeling pretty good that these guys could hold out against the stuff that he had over there, though I realized that they're not the strongest units in the world. Over on Carl's right flank, he put 3 hard-to-kill units, the Cavern Dweller, the Lord on Frostfang, and then a troop of Housecarls that were going to guard his bolt thrower. And this would all be problematic during the game. I mean, it doesn't look like much, but that's 3 really hard-hitting units. Towards the middle of the line, he put his ace unit of Snow Trolls with the Brew of Sharpness. And secondly, he just had a unit of Clansmen with shields. They are one of the hardest units to shift because of their high armor. They have crushing strength, so really good unit to bolster the middle of the line. Also in the middle, but further to the left, he had one of the units I really respect, or actually 2 units I really respect, which is the Clansman with 2-handed weapons with the potion of the Caterpillar. Only thing bad about these guys is I kind of know where they're always going to be deployed, just because I know that's where they need to go because of their Caterpillar potion. And then a really good unit, the Ice Naiad Horde with the Brew of Strength. Behind them was the Thane with Talinar Standard, and I think he had Inspiring Talisman as well. So opposing my men-at-arms retainers here on the left flank was a Huskarl's troop, and then Clarion. What you didn't see in the picture on my side is I also had my Exemplar Redeemer mounted on a Pegasus, and he's over there out of the picture on the right-hand side. So he put Clarion over there as some sort of flyer defense. So over here on the right flank, there wasn't as much nasty stuff over here. I went ahead and moved the retainers forward a little bit. Just kept one online with the Earth Elementals in the very, very middle. Really trying to play the scenario so I'm not going to go blazing across the table to the other side. By getting the first turn, I was already in the zone, so to speak. Because the water elementals and the knights were faster, I moved up, and my goal was to try to pick off those trolls, because that is the number 1 threat in his army, as far as besides the monster and the hero over there, obviously. So I was trying to come up with a plan to knock that unit of trolls out, because I think everything else can go toe to toe with the troops that are over there. I knew that my knights could take out one of those 3 units at best. So I moved it forward just to threaten so he wouldn't move them off another direction. The Pegasus moved forward so I could go ahead and charge the bolt thrower on the second turn. So in the Northern Alliance turn, they angled over here on the right to protect the flank of the Ice Naiads. I had moved the Pegasus up pretty close to him, but just out of charge range of Clarion, so that I could do something mean on my next turn. So I was, he had to respond to it. Otherwise, I would have been jumped behind his line on the next turn, and then just started causing mayhem. He pretty much mirrored my advance in the middle here. The trolls moved forward just a little bit in front of the lines, and that's going to be good for me. I think if he would have just stayed like with the house right on his flank there, I don't think I could make my daring attack to try to crush that unit of trolls. So the last game I played, I think I rolled 4 snake eyes. Well, this game, Carl rolled snake eyes with shooting his bolt thrower at me, turned around and rolled 2 hits, and then turned around and rolled max wounds and destroyed my Pegasus in one go. I was like, are you kidding me? That was really good. It's kind of disappointing, though. So in my next turn, I went ahead and jumped the Pegasus behind the lines. It looks like I'm too close, but I'm not. So I moved back there, and I was wanting to make a response to him that would allow the rest of my troops to move forward. Since Carl wasn't moving forward very aggressively, and now the Pegasus had kind of pinned them down, I went ahead and moved all of my forces online and toward the middle. I was still kind of echeloned to the left with the troops over there. With the unicorn there for healing, I was able to push the greater earth elemental out in front of the lines just slightly, hoping to bait a charge and then heal whatever happened and then slaughter them with the other follow-on troops. My knights over here, I actually had a speed advantage over all the troops that he had, but any one attack, I would have lost them. I mean, all I could do really was demonstrate with them, as they say, because any one thing I charged was gonna kill me. Carl over here responded to my Pegasus by turning the Huscarls around, and Clarion moved off to one side to throw axes at the Pegasus. So probably a good move, because otherwise you would just keep jiggling around and jiggling around. So whichever unit that I was going to charge, at least Clarion would come in to help, perhaps even the Huscarls on the following turn. So Carl opened up with his bolt thrower and tagged 4 wounds on my knights. I mean, he was rolling so hot with that stupid thing. I've played my friend Craig. He'll take 3 bolt throwers. I don't think I've ever taken 4 wounds in a turn, but he's doing it with 1, just nailing me every turn. So with those trolls slightly forward, I couldn't resist, so I went ahead and charged them with my Order of the Brotherhood and the water elementals, and one-shotted them. I also charged in with my greater earth elemental to support them so that they didn't get flanked in case they bounced. So after I killed them, I turned the knights instantly to the left toward the Lord on a Frostfang and the Cavern Dweller. The Lord on a Pegasus, I forgot what they're called, the Redeemer, Exemplar Redeemer, he went ahead and charged into the ASB with loot, and I did this combat in the wrong way. So I should have rolled that one first, because it'll matter later on. All right, over here on my right flank, I just moved forward to support everything. This echelon attack is working. People think an echelon attack is basically a loaded flank. It kind of is, but it isn't. The thing is you have to have troops able to hold behind you to support the echelon attack. So you can see my line is basically in a perfect echelon all the way down the side. So his troops, essentially, I'm fighting just a part of his line with the strongest part of my army. But he can't really respond to that because of the fact that I've lagged these other units behind. So over here on the extreme left, my knights had taken so much wounds from the bolt thrower, and I was afraid he was going to do it again the way he was rolling dice. So I went ahead and suicide charged the Lord on the Frostfang. just to point out, I mean, the better deployment in this case for the Northern Alliance would have been the Cavern Dweller in the spot where the Lord on the Frostfang is. The reason why is Cavern Dwellers are they're not impregnable, but they are very hard to kill because they get all of their wounds back so easily. Armor 5, they hit well. Just one a really, really, really strong unit. And I think if he would have had the Cavern Dweller in the place of the Lord there, this would have just been a one-sided brutal attack. At least here, I did a few wounds, and because the Lord on Frostfang does not have regeneration or anything, they actually stuck and stayed with him. If I would have done that to the Cavern Dweller the next turn, he would have been almost healed. The Northern Alliance here almost had no choice because I was isolating the rest of his line, so at least he was trying to keep these units from swinging the door into the flank of all those other ones. So the Ice Naiads charged one of the unit on the left of the Men-at-Arms retainers. The clansmen with the two-handed weapons and the Caterpillar Potion went ahead and charged one of my units of Earth Elementals in the woods there to support the Ice Naiad attack. Clarion moved up there to use his Inspire and stuff to help out. The Huskarls went ahead and did turn around this turn because there was no reason to be turned backwards. Yes, I knew this was going to happen, but I really had no choice but to do this. The Huskarls and the Lord on Frostfang charged into the Brotherhood Knights, and then the Cavern Dweller charged into the unit of knights protecting my left flank. So, like I said, I knew it was going to happen. Nothing I could do about it, but I still think my plan is working here to hold the middle anyway. So his shooting managed to do one wound to the Unicorn. The Cavern Dweller's charge wasn't very fearsome this turn. He only hit me. He only hit me a few times, and my armor held up. So just 2 wounds. The horde of clansmen did 4 to the Greater Earth Elemental, and the big thing is because I had done damage to the guy with the loot. That was really paying dividends right here in this turn, just because I didn't have Banechant to deal with too. So Carl's Ice Naiads roared into my Men-at-Arms retainers, and I figured, I'll take 5 or 6 wounds, maybe 8 at the top end. Well, Carl rolled just about like an average number of hits, and then wounded with every single dice. So I was on 12 instantly. So that means at the best I could hold out one more turn with that particular unit. They were gravely injured. So over here on this flank, yes, I did lose my knights. The both units over there overran, but they rolled a really small number, like 1, for the number of inches. Since I held out against the Cavern Dweller, I went ahead and popped my vial of holy water and got rid of all the wounds. So I was pretty happy about that. The water elementals go ahead and slam into the flank of the clansmen. I don't know if I used water elementals right this whole game, but they actually worked out really well. So I guess they did then. So over here, the other unit of retainers goes ahead and flank charges into the Ice Naiads, which is of course the best way to be. If this did not work, I was done because the Huskarls and Clarion were going to come into my flank. I did manage a Banechant from my adjutant, so that's going to help a lot here. But this was kind of a risky move just because of the Huskarls were already in position to exploit it. Here in the very middle, the clansmen with two-handed weapons died to the combined attack of both Earth Elemental units. The Earth Elementals, I got them to the side and just surged them in an inch, and that was going to give me a good attack there. So even with the Earth Elemental charge into their flank, the clansmen with shields held out for a turn, and probably wouldn't have held out the turn if I would have went ahead and killed the Thane. The Thane had Talinar Standard, so instead of this unit dying this turn, they were instead wavered. So this turn, the Ice Naiads did get one-shotted by the Men-at-Arms retainers and turned to face the Huskarls and Clarion. I did turn one of those units of Earth Elementals to the right to protect against a charge into that wounded unit. And I turned the other one to the left to protect because I saw that Cavern Dweller was coming and the Lord on Frostfang, and I needed something that could hold up to those attacks. The bad thing for the Northern Alliance this turn is they lost every major unit of hordes, and we're playing a scenario with playing dominate. So you need some unit strength in this game to win this scenario, obviously. And I had 2 Earth Elemental hordes sitting right on the middle of the table. So the Lord on Frostfang comes roaring into the fight with the Cavern Dweller. I knew I was pretty much gone. So anyway, I was happy that I'd survived, but I had 8 wounds after the second round of fighting from the Cavern Dweller. And yeah, it's not going to be good. So between Clarion and the Housecarl's troop, they took the previously unharmed men-at-arms retainers up to 11 wounds. Another great dice rolling thing. I was in trouble just because everything over on this side of the table was just so wounded. I did something this turn that I'm not exactly sure is legal. I went ahead and did a formation change on the water elementals. I did not move, of course, did not move anywhere closer or stuff to the enemy. But I did a formation change and turned them about. And I'm thinking now maybe that wasn't totally legal. But we're going to have to go with it because that's what happened. The Druid went ahead and cast Surge on the water elementals and got them into the Lord on a Frostfang. The Pegasus and the Greater Earth Elemental went ahead and finished off the last horde of clansmen. They should have been finished off before, like I said, but I did the order of the fight wrong, and Talinar Standard kept them from dying that turn. After the Surge attack, the water elementals finish off the very damaged Lord on Frostfang. I think he had lost 7 or 8 wounds already, and just the amount of damage I was able to do to him killed him. In Carl's turn, he went ahead and he charged the undamaged Huskarl's troop into the water elementals and did 6 wounds to them. And then the Cavern Dweller countercharges the Greater Earth Elementals and inflicts 6 wounds upon them, but both units hold. With the help of a Bane Chant, the men-at-arms retainers go ahead and destroy the Huskarl's troop. And the big thing is that it's a troop. If it would have been a regiment, he would have slaughtered me. But the troops just don't have the staying power as far as morale. And like I said, with the Bane Chant, I was able to do enough damage to take them off. So that leaves me just fighting against Clarion with the Earth Elementals coming to help on the following turn. So Clarion failed to do any damage to my unit there this turn, but that allowed me to get the Earth Elementals into his flank and finish him off on the following turn. So that pretty much wipes out everything on the right-hand side of the table. Over on the left-hand side, the water elementals went ahead and destroyed the unit of Huskarls over there. And all that was really left was a bolt thrower and the Cavern Dweller, which the Cavern Dweller is very, very hard to kill. I know I've said it, but I mean, with that life leech so high, and he hits so well, it's really hard to get him knocked out in one go. So that was the only survivor of the battlefield, were the Cavern Dweller and the bolt thrower. This is the MVP of the battle. This guy was killing me. He actually shot the Pegasus off in one turn, and then the next turn he severely injured the unit of knights, and then, which caused them to have to go ahead and charge. He did 1 wound on his worst turn to my unicorn mage, and then he shot off the men-at-arms retainers that were wounded by the Naiad attack. Then he shot off the Pegasus, the Exemplar Redeemer, and wavered my last unit of men-at-arms retainers on the last turn of the game. It was insane. The Order of the Green Lady really, really played well this game. I think it's just a combination of the elementals and stuff, and then the knights, and then cheap infantry on top of that. A couple of relatively cheap flyers doesn't hurt the cause a bit either. The Earth Elementals, they're just so nice to be able to basically forms a pivot point in the middle of your line that you can rotate either left or right around them. And then the speed of the flyers, kind of threatens their flank. And I don't know, it just works out. It's a really good army, and I'm shocked that I haven't used it or played it before. But this was a tough list, and it was fighting another tough list. But this one just overwhelmed it. I mean, there was, if it weren't for the bolt thrower in this game, I don't think the game would have even been close. But the of all those units that are sitting there, the bolt thrower basically killed 4 of them, and the little red and white unit of knights, they died from the cavern dweller, and it was really a swing of luck game in a way, just because of the things were happening that I never would have thought happened, but then I had to respond. So that kind of makes it fun in a way, but I don't know. It's just the foibles of luck sometimes frustrate me, and I know it's in there, but it sometimes drives me crazy. As far as Carl's Northern Alliance Army, I couldn't find his list, and I thought that I'd helped him make it. He used to have a Lord with the Wings of Honeymaze in his list, and using that would have really helped him against my flyers, or even to jam up one of these units of knights and hold them up for a turn or two, because he's almost invulnerable to them because once they're stopped. I think that would have been a better thing in the army, or another bolt thrower, but I don't know what to take out of the army to bring those things into it now. It would have to be at the expense of a horde or a unit of Huskarls to be able to do that, to make that happen. So I don't know how to balance that list out. I mean, just overall, I really feel that Northern Alliance, unless you really, really are planning for flyers, they have basically no flyer defense. I mean, the only thing that in my Northern Alliance, and even my Berenger to some extent, I always have the Lord with the Wings of Honeymaze, and his job is to suppress flyers. That's all he does. And if there's not flyers, he just jumps into any melee he wants to. Things, kills war machines, hurts characters. So he's versatile enough. You don't have to have him only against flyers. But I just have a real struggle with the Northern Alliance and how that they fight against flyers. They have no cheap, fast heroes that can really help you out there. Unlike Salamanders or Kingdoms of Men or Rordia, all have great little cheap characters that are fast that can help you against flyers. But this Northern Alliance, I mean, it just lacks that. But it makes up for it because it's got a lot of everything else. And my friend Craig told me that, if you plan for the flyers with some multi-use units, like he uses ice elemental units, and with the Ice Queen and then a couple of bolt throwers. And that, of course, would do it. I'm just not so sure that it doesn't weaken the ground attack of the army to defend against the flyers so much. But they are multi-use units. You could obviously use that shooting and the elementals with surge and things like that. But that's a lot of points wrapped up in flyer defense. And a lot of people have cheap flyers, which makes it even worse. I mean, like gargoyles and things like that that really are. I mean, you're spending points on defense, more points on the defense than what it costs for what the other guy's paying for offense. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a debate and anything. But I want to just thank everybody for watching the Epic Quest so far. We are down to the last 3 games. And what's funny about this game is I gave Carl the choice of which army to play against, and he played against the Green Lady. I may have to back down my Ratkin Slaves army. I did notice it was pretty rough. So as far as what it could do and all the speed and stuff that it has. So I may back the Ratkin Slave army down to a little bit more sane and friendly. My undead is basically, I just copied Tom Annis's list for the undead, and I know that it works. I mean, I've cruised through people with it several times. And, I mean, I could probably even back that down a little bit more for more fun games. But last thing I got going on is I'm painting my shrine for my Riftforge Orcs, and I'll be able to roll that army out here pretty soon. I may just save them to the very last game of the Epic Quest. So looking forward to that. I've not played with that list yet. And matter of fact, most of these lists that I'm playing with, I've never played with them before, which is kind of interesting to be able to do that. So anyway, thank you for watching the Battle Report. If you got any comments or anything, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It always helps out, just see somebody actually pays attention to it. It really makes me happy. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.